And we are live. We are live. What's up, y'all? It's good to be back. What is going on, yo? Shout out to everyone that's been waiting. Shout out to everyone that's in the chat already. I know it's really late, so I know a lot of you guys that's on the other side, on the eastern part of the world, are not going to be up to watch this. Okay, but at least you guys will be up early in the morning. You guys can get my last final predictions before the card starts tomorrow. Okay, so this is going to be my 5v5 last final predictions. And the reason why I'm doing them all today, outside of the first two that I did, which was the two heavyweight fights, one between Deontay Wilder and Zhang, and the other between Daniel Dubois and Philip Hrgovic. Some of these fights took a lot more time for me to make a decision because a couple of the fighters here I'm really not that familiar with. Okay. Before this fight card was announced, I've never seen Willie Hutchinson fight before. So I had to do my research on him, and I had to go through a ton of his fights the last couple of days. Raymond Ford against Nick Ball, probably, I think that might have been the hardest choice between the two. All right, because this is one of the fights that I actually went back and forth on. The same with Hamza Sheeraz and Austin Williams. It's another fight that is not really clear to me. Okay, but Willie Hutchinson didn't really have much on him, and to be honest, I've probably seen Hamza Sheeraz fight maybe twice before this card. Wasn't really that much familiar with him neither. All right, but we're gonna get through all of these fights here, and we could talk about everything, man. I'm even gonna go back and speak a little bit more on the Deontay Wilder Zhang fight, which I already did a breakdown for, and also Daniel Dubois and Philip Hrgovic. All right. Shout out to everybody that's here. Andridge, what's up, man? He says Zhang has a 70-pound weight advantage. Yeah, I tweeted that earlier this afternoon, right after the weigh-in, right after they got off the scales. I did make a tweet saying that this is part of the reason why I picked Zhang. And I said this in a video, that there's a possibility that Zhang was going to be 70-pound heavier than Deontay Wilder. So I'll speak more about that later in the video. But yeah, I did say that in a breakdown that that's most likely going to happen. Whether Zhang came in at 290, he came in a little lighter this time around, which is a good thing. I don't think it was necessary for him to be that heavy against Deontay Wilder. We knew Wilder looked like he was light. He didn't look like he put on muscle like he did in the third Tyson Fury fight. So based on what we saw from him in the last couple weeks, all the videos that's been popping up of him hitting the mitts and preparation with Malik Scott, it didn't look like Wilder was big for this fight. So I figured he was going to come around his normal weight, which is around 214. And I figured Zhang would be at least 280 for this fight. All right. So we'll see. We're definitely going to talk more about that later in the video. Focus, what's up, man? He says, Wilder's 214, bro. That's wild. He better not be running around the ring like Shakur. I believe if he boxes well and commits to a straight right and spurts behind the southpaw, he's putting Buddy to sleep. We just got to see, because Zhang has a really good straight left, man. I mean, that's literally his best punch. He has a good right hook too, but that straight left is really big, and it's from a much bigger man. Again, we'll talk more about that later in the video, right? I'm definitely going to swing back around and speak on that. What's up, Josh? He says, excellent card. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, even though, let's start out, and we'll start out with this. And Ezekiel, I see a comment about Nick Ball and Raymond, and I'll speak on that really shortly. That's going to be one of the earliest topics of this video here. So we all know by now, but we might as well start out talking with the fight that was supposed to be the main event, supposed to be the main event, and that's Dmitry Bivol and Arthur Beterbiev. Arthur pulled out of the fight. All right, he suffered some sort of injury while training, which is always the case before a fight. All right, this is something that I brought up when the fight was first announced. It seems like all of the really, really big fights for me, like the best fights that can be made, it seems like the majority of them, most of the time, there's going to be some kind of postponement. And I'm not talking about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. I'm talking about Beterbiev against Bivol. I'm talking about Fury against Usyk. And now even Virgil Ortiz against Tim Tszyu. All right. Now, I haven't made content in the last few days because I've been preparing to do breakdowns, and these breakdowns took a little too long for me to decide. You know, I used to do breakdowns where if I was super completely unsure about a fight on how it was going to go and I couldn't give you an actual final prediction, every once in a blue, you would have a video where I will give you a full breakdown, but not give you a final prediction. I don't do that anymore because people used to complain. Come on, Wave, give us somebody. Say you got a gun to your head. You got to pick somebody. I would say 3 of these fights at least have made it really hard for me to choose. Okay. Obviously, Deontay Wilder and Zhang is one that I battle with. And I've changed my pick a few times for that one. Sheeraz and Austin Williams, same thing. And Nick Ball and Raymond Ford is very tough too. I don't feel like I've had that much of a hard time figuring out who's going to win between Richards and Hutchinson. You know, it didn't take me that long. And the same with Dubois and Hrgovic. You know, I think I picked Hrgovic once I heard the fight was announced. And even after doing film study, I was just like trying to convince myself that Daniel Dubois would actually have a shot at winning this fight. And he does. But that's the only fight here that actually put my money up right away. Everything else, maybe I'll bet on something tomorrow last minute. But that's the only fight as far as right now that I have money on is Hrgovic and Dubois, and that's Hrgovic by knockout within 9 rounds. All right. All right. So let's start about Dimitri's Bivol, and it's only because this is the fight. He's fighting against Malik Zinad, who is the replacement of Arthur Beterbiev. And I wasn't familiar with him. I did get a chance to check out his last fight. That's all I had time to really do. I did some research on him. He is 22 wins, 16 losses, 30 years old. He is currently, I believe, the IBF number 2. So it's not like he's a completely random guy. He is undefeated. He doesn't have any draws. I watched his last fight against Jerome Pampalone, and I saw the fight, and it was actually a pretty good fight. I honestly don't believe, as far as a replacement fighter, I don't think it's a bad fight. I think it's going to be a better fight than Lyndon Arthur. Lyndon Arthur just really too defensive, not really, you know, too much of a counter puncher, has a very good jab, but offensively, he just doesn't produce enough. And it wasn't really that much of an issue for Dmitry Bivol to win that fight. All right. I think out of the recent Bivol fights, even though I feel like he's pretty much dominated everyone for the most part, I think this is probably going to be a decent opponent because Zinad actually lets his hands go. He has quick hands. He has a really good 1-2. He has a good jab. And I think that even though he's going to lose, I think that he's going to bring a better fight than Lyndon Arthur. Arthur just got dominated every round. His back was to the ropes. At least this guy Malik is going to let his hands go. He's going to fight. He's confident, um, kind of cocky a little bit, you know, and I like that. And I think that's what's needed for a fight to keep you busy in preparation for Arthur Beterbiev. You know what I mean? So I personally don't have a problem with it. I mean, clearly, you know, obviously, I think Bivol is going to win. I think the biggest flaw with Zinad is that he's not a good defender. All right, based on the Pampelone fight that I watched, he got rocked throughout the fight. I mean, not rocked like hurt, but like he got hit with big shots throughout the fight, and that was against a puncher. And what I will say, at least, is the guy showed that he has somewhat of a chin. So not only do I think he's going to let his hands go, he's also got a pretty solid chin. I don't think it's going to be some guy that Bivol could just beat up on without him fighting back. I don't think he has enough in his game though to beat Dmitry Bivol, but I think it's a better preparation fight to me than Lyndon Arthur was. You know, being inactive, going over a year without since the fight with Gilberto Ramirez, of inactivity, and fighting Lyndon Arthur, which was a fight that Lyndon really brought nothing to the table. To go straight to Arthur Beterbiev is not the greatest preparation. So I think this is a better match than that one, and it will be a clear win for Bivol. I'm expecting him to win. I'm not expecting a stoppage, but I am expecting some good moments in the fight. At least a guy that's going to let his hands go, and a guy that has quick hands and a good jab. All right. All right. What's up, Pepino? What's good with you, man? Yeah, Sheeraz and Ammo is a very, very hard pick. All right. I'll get to that in a few. Jamin says, I think the most difficult fight to predict is Ray Ford against Nick Ball. And I will probably agree with you. Okay. I will probably agree with you. That was the hardest one for me. And when I talk about it, I'll tell you guys why. But this is the one fight outside of Wilder and Zhang that I seriously had one guy winning, you know, earlier today. I mean, just earlier today, I had the one guy winning, and the other guy I picked at the very end. All right, but we'll get through it. Again, I'm not super confident in the majority of these picks, but you know, we'll speak on it. All right, so look, let's get to the next fight. Let's get to the next one. All right. Let me just do a little time slot here. So let's start with the first fight on the card. Most likely be the first fight on the card, and that's Willie Hutchinson and Craig Richards, which is a good fight. It is a very good fight. I know it's the least popular guys here. It's not for a title. I believe it's for some sort of. Oh, maybe not. I don't see anything here. I think it's something. It might be okay. It's not for anything. Okay, this is a good fight. Now, Willie Hutchinson was the one guy that I was not familiar with him at all. All right, so of course I'm going live tomorrow. Are you crazy? I'm gonna miss this for the world. Igor, thank you for donating, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Boy, my guy Wave always working overtime. Yes, always working, and I'm always working on boxing, man. I spent literally the entire day and last night just doing film study just so I can do this preview right now. But thank you for donating. I appreciate that. So let's get started. Craig Richards, Willie Hutchinson. Wasn't familiar with Willie. Was able to go back, watch his stuff. I watched his most recent fights. Moderna, Hubin. There's not much there in his resume. All right. I skipped around, but I watched his fights. And I also watched the loss to Lennox Clark. I saw I saw him get knocked out by Lennox Clark. And what stands out about me with Willie, explosive, very quick hands, love the combinations. He's fun to watch. Right? He got skills, man. He does definitely got skills. I see him switch a little bit, you know. I like the angles. Offensively, he's good. He's very good. Offensively, he's definitely all there. You know, I can see the little bit of hype behind him. You know, he even got a little bit of slickness to him. He likes to fight with his hands down. He has decent reflexes, but he's very fast. He throws really good combinations. He has really good angles. He can move pretty well as well. All right. The problem is, and I noticed it in the Lennox Clark fight, and you can even see it a little bit in the fights after that loss. Um, Keeps his hands down, throws some lazy jabs. The chin is all up in the air, man. That is the problem with this dude. And it was a problem in that fight, and it's part of the reason why he got knocked out. But I still see it, you know, and I'm sorry, but these guys that he's been facing before and after Lennox Clark, they're not good. They're not good. They're not even close to his level. And none of them on his resume is on even close to Craig Richards' level. And I know Craig has lost a few fights. He has a draw. He had two really big step-up fights against Dimitri Bivol and Joshua Buatsi. And I know he lost those fights. But those fights, in those losses, I'm more impressed with him losing those two fights and the way that he lost those fights. Because in my opinion, I think Craig Richards looked better against Dimitri Bivol than most of the people that Bivol has fought, if almost all of them. So Craig Richards did very well against Bivol, and he did very well against Buatsi. I think the Buatsi fight could have been 6-6, a draw, or 7-5 Buatsi. I think Buatsi barely won that fight. Barely won that fight. So, and I think he get Bivol a good fight. You know, he actually hit Bivol more than majority of Bivol's opponents. You know, he hit him. He was consistently landing the jab. His timing was on point. So Craig Richards, to me, is Willie's toughest opponent here. I know Craig is not a KO artist, but he has respectable power. You know, he was able to buzz Joshua Buatsi in their fight. And Buatsi is a very big puncher, a really tough guy, a big guy at 175. And he was able to outwork him in the second half and buzz him and hurt him at times, forcing he was forcing Joshua Buatsi to hold on at times in that fight. I just rewatched the fight today. You know, yeah, Elney, yeah, he made Bivol look not great, and I know Bivol, he was coming off a layoff, but he was the first fighter that made him look regular. He didn't look that great. You know, he didn't look like the guy, the pound for pound fighter that he is right now. All right, Bivol looked great against everybody else, but Richards looked good against him. All right. I don't think Richards almost won or anything, but Bivol got hit a lot more than we're used to seeing him. Even fighting Canelo, you can make an argument that Richards might have even did better than Canelo, and he definitely did better than Zurdo Ramirez for sure. You know, so there's some drama behind this fight. I'm not going to get all into it because honestly, I didn't watch the videos. You know, there's some drama. Supposedly, Willie Hutchinson said some racist remarks to Richards. I didn't watch it, you know, because to be honest, I really didn't care. You know why I don't care? Because even if it's true, you have the opportunity to punch this guy in his face on Saturday. It's not like people that's on social media that make racist comments to you and you can't do anything about it. Or in person when they say it in your face, but you don't want to risk going to jail over beating somebody up. You know what I mean? You don't think it's really worth it. But Craig Richards, whatever this guy said to him, you have the opportunity to beat his ass on Saturday night. So me personally, when I saw it and I read it, I didn't go digging. I didn't try to find the video where he said what he said. I didn't do all that. Why? Because they're fighting on Saturday. You know, I don't know Willie. I mean, I can't say I'm rooting for him to win. I'm not rooting for him to win because I never seen the guy fight before. This is my first time covering a fight with him. Craig, I've been watching him since the Bivol fight. I've been watching him since. So as far as the prediction, and you know, I didn't get into the details of Craig. Craig, again, very well-rounded fighter. I don't think he's as fast as Willie. All right. I think Willie might be a little bit more explosive and stuff, like the combinations and stuff. But Craig, experience is there. His experience, his engine, his durability. Those are the key things that I think is going to win him this fight. I think Willie is going to start out faster, just like Joshua Buatsi did. I think the fight starts out for Willie in the lead. Okay, Willie is going to open up. He's going to be the quicker guy. He's going to look really, really good, real smooth early. But I think Craig is going to stay in the fight. He's proven to be very durable. All right. And I think he drowns him in the later rounds. All right. And because Willie doesn't have the greatest defense, I don't want to say he doesn't have a great chin just because he got knocked out in one fight, but he literally has not fought anyone that was capable of coming close of beating him. And I think Craig Richards, being the best fighter that he's faced, having the experience that he has, having the better defense, and probably have the better engine in the second. I mean, I'm expecting him to be the better fighter in the second half. I think Craig Richards drowns him in the second half of this fight due to the lack of experience with Willie. And I expect Craig to either stop him late, or hurt him to a point where the judges are probably going to give him the fight. All right. Willie, I think the one issue I have with him, I think ability-wise, I think he would beat Craig, but I just think defensively he's too flawed and his chin is just too exposed. Even with the improvements that I've seen since that knockout loss, I still think that Craig is going to do enough and be the more effective puncher between the two. And this is why I'm leaning towards Craig to steal the show in the later half, in the second half of this fight. All right. So that's my prediction for that. I'm leaning towards more of a late stoppage or a decision win for Craig Richards. All right. So let me just read a few comments before we get to the next fight. All right, for you guys, for this asking for predictions, I'm going to get to it. I want to break every fight down quickly and then give you a prediction. I'll give you a quick, short breakdown for each fight. And then we're going to, I'll give you a prediction and then move on. Richards for me. Okay. What's up, Wave? Hope all is well. Everything is great, man. Everything is great. The family's great. Everybody's doing good. Amon Williams, that's gonna be the next one. So I got you. All right. I like Richards though. I like his performances, even in defeat. I know he lost the big ones, but I like his performances in both of those fights, and I think he almost won against Joshua. And I think he did the best we've seen against Bivol. All right, in recent years. So all right. So let's get to the next fight. Should we do Hamza? Yeah, let's do Hamza. Let's do Hamza Sheeraz against Amon Williams. Now, this fight I did a lot of work on. All right, this took me a lot of time. This fight between him and Amon Williams and Nick Ball against Ray Ford, it took me a lot of time. Okay. This fight, I didn't necessarily change my pick at any point, but the reason why this fight is hard and one of the most difficult fights out of the whole card is because neither one of them have looked really impressive to me. Neither one of them have looked that impressive. They both have flaws in their game. Sheeraz got a very controversial knockout win. Let me go to this. Let me go to their cards. I mean their resumes real quick. All right. So when it comes to Hamza Sheeraz, he's coming off a big win against Liam Williams. Hamza is a guy that just ran through a lot of fighters very quickly. Beat them all up quick within the first couple rounds. They do have a common opponent, and that's Wilson Bent. And Hamza stretched them out very quick. All right. Ammo, who is a puncher, not as big as a puncher as Sheeraz, but he is a puncher, fought the same fighter, but I think he did it in like 8 rounds or so. Yeah, he did it in 8 rounds. All right. Both of those fights are on YouTube. Sheeraz, to me, big fighter at the weight, very tall. All right. He's 6'3", long reach, uses it well. Good jab, good 1-2, good straight shots to me, good straight right hand. All right. He can move a little bit, not the fastest fighter. He's not fast on his feet. All right. But I've seen him turn opponents in certain areas and step around them and use some angles here and there. I think he has some good weapons. I think he's good, but I think mainly it's the 1-2 for me. It's the 1-2, that straight right hand, which will be there. You got to remember, Ammo is a southpaw. Now, I try to find a southpaw for Hamza, and he fought this guy named Paul Keene. That was back in 2020. That was about 7 fights ago. Paul Keene, just really not that good of a southpaw, much smaller than him, just got beat up. All these guys got beat up. All of these guys got beat up. But he didn't quite just beat up Bradley Skeet. Now, the problem with this controversial fight, I've never seen this fight before. All right. But I do remember content creators making content about this controversial fight. Why? Because Hamza decided to give Skeet a couple more shots on a knockdown while he was down on a mat. I mean, literally down. The referee fell asleep on the job, and Hamza was able to land 2 or 3 more shots while Skeet was on the ground already. And it was bad. It was so bad that it should have been a disqualification, in my opinion. Okay, it is what it is. They never rematched Skeet. I believe Skeet retired. But this fight has been completely removed off the internet for good reason. I'm sure those guys over there with BT and Frank Warren doesn't want the people to see that fight. So I don't know who was winning the fight. All I know that is that from basing on the comments that I've read, it looks like this fight was somewhat competitive. I know that Sheeraz got dropped. I can't find any film on this, so I really don't know. Again, this was about 6-7 fights ago. It was back in 2021. So, Bradley Skeet is literally the only fighter that is on his resume, but outside of Liam Williams, that I'm familiar with. And if this fight was competitive, I would love to see that fight because it's literally the only fight that's competitive. Yes, this guy Francisco Torres knocked him down, but the fight wasn't competitive. It was a flash knockdown. It was a similar knockdown as Danny Jacobs and Sergio Mora in the first fight. Remember when Danny Jacobs dropped him in the first round and Danny started hunting him down with his hands down, trying to get the stoppage, and Sergio just clipped him with a good shot, and Danny Jacobs went down. Well, the difference between that and this flash knockdown is that Hamza didn't even look hurt. All right, he just got dropped, but it was the same scenario. I think he had this guy Torres hurt. He was chasing him down, and he just didn't have his guard up and just caught a good shot on chin and went down. All right, not a big deal. But the Bradley Skeet fight, I am not able to watch that fight, and because of that, it makes even more for this prediction to be hard, because to me, Sheeraz is clearly the bigger puncher and the better finisher. But I don't know what he's really capable of doing. I just know that he can beat guys that are journeymen really, really good very, very quickly. All right. So I don't know how good he is. I just know that he's been dropped by 2 other fighters. But everybody else, like Liam Williams, never really rated him. Liam Williams, at the very least, is going to get dropped in the first round of every one of his fights. Just because you beat him quicker than Demetrius Andrade or Chris Eubank, it it is what it is. Liam Williams is, I believe he's retired. Never had a great chin, always gets dropped, don't have good defense. You got him out of here in 1 round. You did what you were supposed to do. I am just unsure about him. But Ammo, who I know he was a good amateur, but I believe he's fought the better fighters. He's fought the better fighters. I've been watching him just about his whole pro career. All right. He's been fighting the better fighters to me. He's been more active to me. I think he has a better experience to me. I've never been overly impressed with him neither. I haven't seen much growth in his game. I've said this on every live commentary I've done on him for every fight. I have not seen a fight where I was like, yo, he's stepped up so much. And I've been watching him from the beginning. I don't think he's improved that much. I know what he can do. I know he has good power. I know he has very, very fast hands, and he throws very good combination. But as far as like technical, he's not that good of a defender. In fact, his head is always there. He doesn't move his head that much. And if you're a southpaw fighting a guy with a good straight right hand, I can see where Sheeraz might land a big punch and hurt him. Now, I don't think Sheeraz is great defender neither, but I know exactly what Sheeraz is going to do, and I think it could be very effective. Whereas when it comes to Ammo, who is not as big of a puncher, needs some time to have his success. When he stops his opponents, it's usually later down the line in the fight when he starts to really unload. When he really goes to it, the Yasa fight in his last fight, he hurt Conway. That's probably one of my favorite fights of Ammo, because Conway, I was very familiar with him. I thought Conway fought a good fight. He had his moments. So I do like to go back to that fight every now and then when I watch Ammo. I did go back. I remember watching that fight live. So I thought Conway was a pretty decent fight. And he has some similarities there. He's a good straight right hand. So I thought that was the fight that I personally, I went through a few. I watched the Wilson Bent fight. I went and watched some of the Steve Rolls fight. But I think the Conway fight was a good fight to watch. And Ammo, again, no feints, not that great of a defender, does no lateral movement really, no lateral movement there from him, kind of comes straight in or straight out. And he likes to lead with power shots, not much of a jab. He has a jab, but he doesn't throw it enough. So it's kind of like he's easy to time, I was even watching the old Dennis Duglin fight, because Dennis is a vet, and he's been in there with a lot of fighters and he spars with a lot of fighters. And Dennis was able to time Ammo continuously coming in, and Ammo's like a guy that's very explosive, very fast hands, likes to step in and throw those combinations real quick. And again, I'm just not sure. I'm not sure. This was a very hard one to pick because both of them are still somewhat green. I think Sheeraz is greener, but I think Sheeraz has the bigger punch. And I think Sheeraz can land the right hand on Ammo because Ammo is always standing right in front of you. So if he's doing something different this time around, I can see where Ammo wins. Me personally, the way I think the fight should go is I think Ammo should be aggressive early. I don't think he should be waiting around because I was thinking about it. Yes, Ammo, I think Ammo is better in the second half in most of his fights, and not just based on gas tank or engine or anything like that. I just think he performs better in the second half. And when his opponent usually slows down a little bit, I just think that power still shows late in the fight. I don't think he should take that approach. I think he should start off fast against a less experienced fighter. I think if Hamza is getting a good lead and he is having success with the jab and the right hand, it's going to be hard to come back later because the guy punches too damn hard. So I think for Ammo, as aggressive as he's been in these pressers and in the weigh-in and the face-to-face that they did that I did watch, I thought he was weird. Ammo is kind of weird. I don't think he's just acting out. I think he is kind of weird. I realized that when he fought Conway. When he started screaming in the middle of the ring, I was like, oh, this guy's a little crazy. He's a little crazy. And that's cool. But I think in this fight here, Ammo needs to come at him. I think either way, there's going to be a knockout in this fight. I think either Ammo knocks him out. If Sheeraz is really overrated, which he may be, if they're removing his only bad looking fight, something tells me there that he may be overrated. He may be. But based on their abilities and their styles, I think Hamza is the guy to go with. I think Hamza is not going to have that much trouble landing that straight right hand against Ammo Williams. I think ability-wise, style, and size, length, I have to go with Hamza Sheeraz. Because even though Ammo is more experienced, Ammo is too damn easy to hit. He's not a slick fighter. I know he's a southpaw and everything. He's not slick. He's not slick. He's very fast. He's very explosive, but he's very, very easy to hit. And he's not really that technical. Again, where are the feints? Where's the jabs? Where's the lateral movement? He kind of comes straight in. And Hamza, who's a decent enough counterpuncher and can step around you and land a check hook here or there, I would have to go with Sheeraz in this one. I would have to go. Very close fight. I do think it's 50-50 because Sheeraz could be overrated. And there's not much there. His resume is trash. Not trash, but the quality opponents are not that good. And Ammo would beat all of those guys up too. But I have to go with Sheeraz because I like the length. I like the straight right hand. And I know where Austin's head is going to be. Again, if Austin could come out fast and try to expose this guy, it's risky because he might get clipped. But I think the longer you go in this situation would not be good. It would not be good. Has Hamo ever been actually hurt? Not that I remember. I think he's been caught with some big shots, but I don't know if he's actually ever been hurt before. So we'll see. We'll see. It's definitely one of the hardest ones on the card to call. Again, when the fight was announced, I was thinking Sheeraz. As I started to watch video and learn more about Sheeraz, because again, I'm still new to him. I've seen him fight before, but I didn't like the Bradley Skeet fight being removed off the internet like the way they did that. It kind of made me feel like when they do that sometimes, it makes me wonder, like, I can't even find a clip. There's only one video that shows an edited video that shows the illegal punch thrown after the knockdown against Skeet and the stoppage of Skeet. It doesn't show Sheeraz getting knocked down. It doesn't show any of the previous rounds. So I have no idea. So I'm basing it off what I know and what I've seen. I do think Austin has a shot. If you want to put money on Austin exposing him and knocking him out, that's cool. That's on you. All right. All right. Where are we at? Let's get to the next fight. So this next fight was probably the hardest to choose, and this is the one that I actually changed my pick. And I'll tell you at the end of my breakdown. Nick Ball against Raymond Ford. Very familiar with both. All right. Nick Ball, history with him. Fights ago, saw the dude, very aggressive style. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Sean Porter. Okay, a little bit of Sean Porter. A little bit of Mike Tyson, the way he hooks. A little bit of what's this guy's name on Isaac Cruz. So you mix a little bit of that and you get Nick Ball. All right. Very aggressive. A little bit of sloppiness in him, but it's been effective in his career. All right. Nick Ball is rough, rugged fighter. Really rough. He's not playing around. I made a joke on Twitter one day, a couple months back. I was like, Nick Ball looked like the dude that used to fight everybody in school. What I mean by that is that he looked like that. He has like that small man syndrome. Like he's a really short dude and he used to just knock everybody out. Like anybody that teased him, he looked like he just punched them in the face. He just looks like he fought everybody in the playground, like that looks like him. I like that about him. Again, his style is not for everybody. Neither is what Sean Porter's style. But it's been effective. It's been effective. All right. So I did go back, watch a little bit of stuff. I think with Nick, very fast, extremely athletic, not a great defender. All right. But he is a short fighter that knows how to fight really tall guys. And Raymond Ford is much taller. Raymond Ford is not tall, but he's much taller than Nick Ball. I don't know if Nick Ball is really 5'2", but they got him listed at 5'2" on BoxRec. All right. Now I seen Nick Ball fight a while ago. I think I remember watching the Isaac Lowe fight. I can't remember what undercard that was on. That was on the Fury Dillian White fight. So I remember watching that. So I've seen him, quite a few times. And, I thought he was like, all right, he's cool. 126 has always been a division that was open to me. Like no one's ever really dominated that division. No one unifies there. I saw his Isaac Dogbe fight. And I rewatched it the other day. And I really didn't get anything out of the fight. Raymond Ford is a southpaw. All right. And I do think that Nick Ball has a southpaw in his resume somewhere in there. All right. But no top level guy. So we're not going to go with the southpaw versus orthodox thing. We're not doing that because there's really nothing there. There's two fights that's really matters here. And it's the Dog Bay fight and the Ray Vargas fight, which was his most recent fight. Dog Bay, good fighter, also very rugged and aggressive. I don't think he's been as much of the aggressive fighter that he used to be before losing to Manuel Navarrete. But, he's a pretty good boxer. The problem is with Dog Bay in that fight is that Dog Bay just doesn't have the legs and he's just not as skilled as Ray Ford. Raymond Ford, very good boxer, very good technician, very quick hands, good counterpuncher, extremely great legs, moves it very well. And in his very last fight, he showed you that he can be a dog when he needs to be. Okay. Rosewell asked a question. Wave, do you think Craig Richards' 2-year layoff will be a problem? It could be. It could be. Has it been 2 years? I thought he fought recently. Yeah, he did fight earlier in the year, but it was a tune-up fight. So he did fight. All right, he did fight. But it could be. But I already got my pick. I think he's gonna win. I think he's gonna win. All right, but let's go back to this. So Nick Ball fights Ray Vargas, who I've been watching for a long time. Very familiar with Ray. Cover fights on him on the channel. And Ray fight was pretty controversial. I watched the fight again today. Earlier this evening. I watched the fight because I was trying to avoid rewatching that fight because it's such a recent fight and I remember knowing how it went, but I couldn't come up with a goddamn, excuse me, but I couldn't come up with a damn decision on who's going to win this fight. So I rewatched the fight and I thought in first viewing, Nick Ball edged it, but I wasn't mad at the draw. When I rewatched it today, I kind of understand the draw. I'm good with the draw. I know Nick Ball dropped him twice. I know Nick Ball looks stronger than him, manhandled him at points. But as far as clean punch it, he was very inconsistent and he did give up a lot of rounds early. Okay. I noticed that a lot of the punches were smothered. And there was a lot of holding. All right. A lot of punches didn't really land clean for Nick Ball. All right. He did a good job closing the gap very quickly, being the aggressor on the inside, knocking it into two knockdowns, of course. But it was a sloppy fight. But what I did like about Ray in that fight, which is the only thing that I don't feel like Ray is going to do better than, and I'm talking about Ray Vargas. I'm sorry. I say Ray because he's fighting Raymond Ford. Ray Vargas, the one thing that Ray Vargas did, in my opinion, that I don't think that Raymond Ford would be able to match in this fight, and I'm only saying that is because I see Ray do it consistently in every single fight, is the body punching. I think Ray Vargas, his whole strength and his whole skill set, the biggest strength is his body punching from the outside. He was just too on point. And in my opinion, I thought those body punches actually slowed Nick down. I thought Nick would have been even more aggressive if he wasn't getting hit to the body so goddamn much. Ray was on point, consistently throwing hard shots to the body throughout the fight. So you got to give him credit for that. I don't know if Ray is capable of doing that like that, but Ray has other strengths. And I think he's a more talented fighter and a better defender. And I think he's even a better dog on the inside than Ray Vargas. All right, but we'll see Saturday. Raymond Ford. Oh, man, been watching him a long time too. All right, he's been on DAZN for a good amount of time. And he's had his ups and downs. I wasn't always the biggest supporter of Ray. Because even though I like the kid, I've been following the kid, he was a big prospect and all that. He had these close fights, the Aaron Perez fights. What other fight was there? He had the fight, the Eddie Vasquez fight, which I don't think he won. I don't think he won that fight. I remember covering that fight live. I don't think he won the fight. All right, but I always thought he was okay. And then when he won against Eddie Vasquez, at that point, at that time, I was like, I don't know. This kid is good, but it's something missing with him. Yes, he's slick. He's a good defender. He moves well, good counterpuncher, but he needs something else. He needs to become more dangerous. He just wasn't dangerous enough leading up to that point. And even though he's fought some good fighters, he beat Jesse Magdaleno, which was, a pretty good performance against a good fighter. I remember watching that live as well. Up to this point, up into the Comatol fight, if I had to predict what Nick Ball has done, I probably might have been leaning towards Ball because Ball has been, I think his aggression would have been too much for Ford. But the Komentov fight happens. And I think Raymond Ford is losing and he's getting outboxed on the outside by Komentov. Komentov is actually, we knew he was a puncher, but he was winning on the outside against Raymond Ford, who I believe won is a fight. I didn't do an official breakdown, but this is just how I feel before the fight started. If I did an official breakdown, I might have been wrong because I thought Komentov had the punching and could be a good boxer, but I didn't think that he was going to be boxing that well early in the fight. He's landing heavy shots on Ray, and he's outscoring Ray. But Ray changes it up, and he starts to walk down Komentov. And even though Komentov is a big puncher, Ray is being a bully in that fight. So there's a period where Ray kind of starts pressing forward on Komentov and forcing Komentov to move a little bit, make him a little bit uncomfortable. So Ray, the momentum started to change. But then there's a period when Komentov starts doing some heavy damage and started landing some big shots. Even with Ray being a bully, Komentov starts hurting him and busting up his face. He's, saw a cut and everything. This might be fight of the year, right? This is definitely one of the best fights of the year. And in the last round, where I have Ray down, out of nowhere, he hurts Komentov, walks him down, gets him pinned against the ropes, put him in a corner, and stops him. All right? Ref steps in, closing seconds of the fight, and stops the fight. Crazy performance, crazy fight. I know there was some people thinking that the fight should have been stopped. I can hear that argument. I mean, this has been an issue with fights throughout the years. Excuse me. But at the end of the day, Ray knocks him out, stops the fight. Now he stops him. Ray showed that he can walk a fighter down and beat him up. I like that. I needed that fight to happen for me to believe Ray is who he is. And I already know he can move and can counter and be slippery and stuff. That was never going to be enough, because when you watch the Edward Vasquez fight, which is the proper fight to watch in preparation for this fight here, Edward was walking him down, getting low. Now they're roughly around the same height, but Edward was getting low on him and coming up and landing some big overhand rights and stuff. He was bullying Ray in that fight. And he had Ray on the coast. He was landing some counters. I mean, some good combinations. He had Ray under pressure. So as I'm watching this fight, trying to do this video, I'm like, I don't know. I could see where Ball can have success doing this. You got to remember, the Komentov win was big because it showed me what Ray can do when he's, he's under pressure and he's losing a fight, and that he can fight a dog fight and can walk forward and fight that kind of fight. So he showed me that he can do that. But style-wise, Komentov was a southpaw that was boxing him on the outside, using a jab, timing Ray, countering Ray. If you're going to watch a fight that's going to show you a little bit similarities on what Nick Ball can do, the Eddie Vasquez fight is where you got to go. Because the Eddie Vasquez fight shows a guy getting low, getting underneath him, getting up on his chest, and beating him on the inside. You know what I mean? Which is Nick Ball. That's all he's going to try to do. So I think this fight is the hardest one to pick because Nick Ball is, when you get fighters like Nick Ball, and I say this all the time about Isaac Cruz, and I used to say this about Sean Porter. This is why I always say these fighters, if you are a good boxer, if you're a good technical boxer, and you have good defense and all that, you could be slick, all that shit, you can move. If you have all of these things, how do we know that that's going to work against a fighter like this? We don't know. You don't fully know. We know we know Nick Ball is used to fighting guys that are taller, rangier, is going to move, but he knows how to cut fighters off. He's super athletic. He's quick, and he knows how to get close to you very quickly. The problem is with Nick Ball is that he lunges in way too much, and he has to. Why? Because he's listed as 5'2". So sometimes he's throwing punches too far out, and sometimes he's lunging in to get in range. And a good fighter that knows how to move laterally and knows how to circle you and turn you and all that, a good fighter with a good check left foot that can time you leaping in like that can take full advantage of you. And a fighter that like Ray, who didn't show in the Eddie Vasquez fight that he can really compete on the inside, but showed that to me in a Coleman fight, that he could walk you down and bully you, because he wasn't that fighter then, but he's that fighter now. I personally think Ray he's more of the complete fighter, that whatever is happening for him and whatever is not going his way, he's going to eventually figure it out. He's going to figure it out, because now, to me, he's proven to be a complete fighter. And this is why I have to go with Ray. And this is the one fight that I told you guys I changed my pick. In the beginning, when they announced the fight, I actually had Nick Ball winning. I had to convince myself, after watching their fights and going back and watching the fights that I already seen, Nick Ball, I think he can be neutralized. Because one thing I didn't like in the Ray Fargas fight is that he kept doing the same thing. And I think part of the reason why he didn't lose that fight is because he was stronger than Ray, who I think, and I've said this before, Ray should have never came back down to 126. He's weak. He's weak. Yes, you lost to Shockey Foster, but you're too big to be coming down to 126. You're too big to be getting manhandled like that. I've seen Nick Ball be aggressive and rougher fighters, but the way that he was just picking this guy up and tossing him around the ring, I didn't like that. Like, it kind of made me like, Ray was doing tough stuff well, but when it got close, he had nothing for Nick. I don't think that Nick can quite do it that way against Raymond Ford. I also think the reason why I also couldn't do this video earlier is because I was worried about the weight training stuff. You know that Ray had a tough time making weight against Komatov, and you know that he wanted to go up in weight after that fight. He decided to stay. I heard an interview with Eddie Hearn. He said he's actually invested into Raymond Ford's camp by hiring a nutritionist for him and someone else. He's actually been investing into getting Ray to make weight and be prepared for this fight. So with all of that, I'm leaning towards Ray. I think Ray is going to win. I changed my pick. I never told you guys my pick, but I actually was leaning a little bit towards Nick Ball before making my final prediction. I think it's going to be a good fight. I actually think that this may be the best fight. I'm expecting. Oh, well, I think all of the fights are going to be good. But I think this is going to be round by round a good fight. Because you got the wrecking ball who's going to be coming straight at you against Ray 4, who's going to be the technician between the two. And I think coming off the Komatov win, that made him a better fighter. And I have Ray winning. I think he's going to be able to neutralize Nick Ball and win a decision win. You never know. You know, maybe if he can counter and catch him with a clean left hook somewhere, you never know. He might drop or hurt Ball. But I think this might be the best fight. Again, if you guys got Ball winning, I'm not arguing with you. It's a very good pick. I even thought at one point he would win. But Ray right now, huge respect after that last win because he was getting beat up. And he came out and walked this guy down. I'd never seen that in him before. And that made me know, like, oh, this guy, he's legit. That's one of the most legit wins that I've seen in recent years. A serious field says, Ball got cracked by Dogbay throwing straight lefts when switched to southpaw for a bit. I imagine Ford doing that all night, yeah. I just think that even if Ray is struggling, AB said I got Ford. If Ray is struggling in the fight, I just think he's going to figure it out. You know, I don't know exactly how the fight is going to go. But I think however way it's going, I think Ray is going to figure it out. That's why I'm going with him. All right. Where Ball has one gear and it's a fast gear. He's always in 6th gear, but it's still one gear. You get what I'm saying? Ball is in 6th gear for 6-speed transmission. He's in 6th. But that's all you're getting. Ray's going to switch it up. You know, he's going to shift down. He's going to shift back up again. You know what I mean? He might change into a different car altogether. And now he's using the paddle shifters. You know what I mean? Like, that's Ray. Ball, I know what he's going to give me every single round. And if he's losing and if he's struggling, he's going to keep trying to do the same thing because he has no other lane. So he's good and he's effective, but he has one lane. And that is to pressure, and get in range to land something big. And Ray, too defensive. I think he's going to be able to handle him. All right. So that's my pick. So, all right, guys. All right. Give me 1 second. So we still got the 2 big fights. Just a quick recap if you guys joining us. By the way, please, if you guys can, hit the thumbs up for me real quick. Let's just get the likes up. I know it's really late, yo. Appreciate you guys for even being here. It's super late. I know only the Americans mainly are here because it's 11:30 Eastern time. I know you out on the West Coast. I'm sure you guys is up or whatever. But hit the thumbs up for me. You know, I'll show everybody else is gonna see this tomorrow. But hit the thumbs up and share the video. You know, smash the like button, share, subscribe. Give me 2 seconds. Let me just get a cup of water. I'll be right back. In fact, let me brought the whole gallon. Hold on. All right. All right. I have a question I have to answer. Let me go on Twitter real quick. One of the supporters of the channel hit me up on Twitter, asked me a great question. And I just want to just pull his name up real quick. I don't know if he's here. Toby Lounge. That's his at Toby Lounge. I don't know if you're here now. If you're here, just leave a comment. Excuse me. If not, you know, depending on where he's at, you might not see this until tomorrow. But he had a question. He says, I have a question for you. You can answer here or during the live commentary. If you were to choose a captain for Queensberry and Matchroom, who would you have chosen? Would you have gone with the same choices that Frank and Eddie chose? I think that's a great question. I think it's a very difficult question, you know, because by the time he asked me earlier today, I still didn't even pick all my picks. I think I still had to go with Ford and Paul. I mean, not Ford and Nick Ball, and I still didn't decide between Sheeraz and Ammo. So I couldn't answer the question, you know. But I felt like, you know, I'll get some time. I'll get on here and talk to you guys and chat with you guys. Let me start out with Matchroom. I'm not sure if Eddie made that pick to for a business political reason with Wilder. And it's not like I don't think Wilder has a chance, because he does. And I'm not trying to question if Eddie really believes he's going to win or not. I'm not that neither. All I know is that Eddie wants to invest in Wilder. And now that he has a relationship with Wilder, I think he's also trying to stroke his ego a little bit. All right. Me personally, I personally believe the clear captain, or the easiest fight for me to predict out of all 5 of these fights for me, was the Hrgovic fight. I think if I'm trying to actually win this 5v5 thing on points, because to me personally, it's not really about that. It's really about these fighters individual. It's fun to have a scoring system in play, but these fighters are fighting for themselves. This is not for a team. You know, boxing is not a team sport. You go with Hrgovic, you get double points there. You know, I think that is the least difficult. He's a heavy favorite. It's the least difficult prediction to me. And this is the one that I came out and told you guys that I'm confident that Hrgovic is going to win this fight. And I'm confident that Hrgovic is going to stop him. And I get it. A lot of you disagree with that, and that's cool. That's what we're here for. We're here to just talk shit to each other. You know, we can't be out having beers and stuff and watching the fight together. So we get on here and we talk. I think Hrgovic should have been the captain. I would have picked him. Daniel Dubois is good. I know he's coming off of a good win. I know the confidence is up. I know he's been in there with the more difficult opponents. So I get that. I understand. He's been in there with the more difficult opponents. He's been in there with Usyk, who is now an ATG at this point. You know, 2-time undisputed, heavyweight undisputed. That's special. So he's been in there with Usyk, and a lot of people feel he should have won that fight. So he gets credit for that. He's been in there with Joe Joyce. You know, at a time that it was probably too soon for him to be in that kind of fight. And he just beat Gerald Miller, who was undefeated. And clean, which makes him not as good. So I get the arguments, but when it comes to Matchroom, if this was my 5v5 and I'm a promoter here, for Matchroom's in, I pick Filip Hrgovic for my double points. All right, so there's a point system. Whoever wins on each side, whoever is the promoter that wins, they receive an extra bonus $3 million. I hope that both Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn provides that to the fighters based on their purses, the percentages. I hope the winning team gets that bonus. I hope these promoters just don't keep it for themselves, because the fighters deserve it. All right, so yeah, so for Matchroom, I go with Hrgovic. I do believe Wilder's being the captain here is to stroke his ego a little bit, because this is a very risky, dangerous fight for Deontay Wilder. And I don't think, like I said to you guys earlier in my breakdown that I did a few days ago, I feel like Deontay Wilder is going to win. Like, I have a feeling that Wilder is going to land the big right hand, and he's the right hand is there to land, because Zhang is, he's not Fury. He's not that hard to hit. I think Wilder could land the shot. So I get why everybody's picking Wilder, for the people that are picking him. So I get that. But to pick him over Hrgovic in a Dubois fight, hell no. Dubois, to me, out of these 5 fighters, is the go-to. As far as Queensberry, this is hard. I think Frank is dead serious when he picked Hamza Sheeraz. He's clearly his guy. If he's removing fights off the internet, that's his guy. He's invested in that kid. I think he believes that kid has potential to be something big. I ain't see it yet. This Ammo fight could be the start of that, but I haven't seen it yet. But I also don't believe that the middleweight division is that good right now. Middleweight division might be arguably the weakest division in boxing right now. You got Janibek, you got Carlos Adames, you kind of got Jamal Charlo. I don't know. There's no one there, though. The Triple G, Canelo, Andre, Charlo days are gone. That's done. Chris Eubank is still sticking around, fighting whoever, randoms. So Hamza Sheeraz is not a bad pick. Would that have been the pick to go with for me? If it was me, so you got Willie Hutchinson, you got Nick Ball, you got Hamza Sheeraz, you got Daniel Dubois, I would go with Hamza Sheeraz. I would probably go with Hamza Sheeraz. I am not confident. I think I would have to, if I'm not going with Hamza Sheeraz, I probably would go with Zhang. This is what I mean. I'm not sure if Willie Hutchinson is going to win. I think Craig Richardson's going to win. Can't pick him. Nick Ball. Even if you think Nick Ball's going to win, like, that's way too close call. I'm not putting money up for that fight. I'm damn sure not putting him as a captain. Captain against Ray Ford? Hell no. So Ammo, I would have to go with Sheeraz, because Ammo is just, neither one of those two are really that proven. I would go with Hamza. And if it's not Hamza, I would go with Zhang. But I would have to say Hamza, because what if Wilder knocks out Zhang and or just beats him on points, because Zhang gets tired in the second half of fights. It's 5 rounds. He's a 5-round fighter. If he doesn't get it done in 5 rounds, which I think he will, but if he doesn't, so I will say, to answer the gentleman's question, I'm going with Sheeraz on in Queensberry for my double points. And for Matchroom, I'm going with Hrgovic for my double points. The only fight that I'm confident in is that Hrgovic fight. I think style-wise, I just think he's a better fighter. I think he's more skilled. Um, I think Dubois is good. He has a good jab. He has a good 1-2, the good right hand. But Hrgovic is more complete offensively. I don't think he's great defensively, but I don't think he's stiff like Daniel Dubois is. And again, Daniel, that's not to be disrespectful. I think he's improved. He's definitely improved since his first loss. But I think Hrgovic is just gonna outwork him. I think he's gonna walk him down. I think he's gonna force him to fight on the back foot, which Daniel is not good at doing. And I think he's gonna just smother his offense and put him down. All right. Yeah, Dubois is chinny as well. Yes. Yes, he is chinny. Lorena did him, hurt him. Usyk hurt him. And Joyce hurt him. And Joyce is a puncher. So it is what it is. Broke his over the ball. So but Lorena hurt him that time and damn near getting him out of there, which is, I don't want to go into the, I don't want to talk about that. I'll say it. I thought after the first round of the Lorena fight was weird. For him to just hurt him so bad in the first round and just kind of disappear after that, just stop fighting to me. I was very confused by that Kevin Lorena fight. All right. Yeah, so I don't want to get too much into that, but yeah, I got Hrgovic winning. Hrgovic is gonna win. And I think he's gonna win clear. I think there's a possibility he's gonna get hit with a good shot, but I just think Hrgovic is gonna beat him, stop him in 8, and within 8. He said I hope Hrgovic by yeah, in the amateurs he did, and Joe Joyce beat him. Well, I seen a Joe Joyce fight. I actually think Hrgovic won that one. But Tony Yoka is like many fighters he's just the weakest heavyweight of that class. Even though he won the gold, and I don't think he won the gold because I thought Joe Joyce beat him. I'm not going to base my pick off some amateur fights. I don't care if they were in the Olympics or not. Hrgovic would destroy Tony Yoka in the pros. Absolutely destroy him. And same with Joe Joyce. All right. So that's where I'm at with it. I got Hrgovic winning. On with money on the line. All right. So the final fight. All right, final topic. Wilder and Big Bang. You guys saw the weigh-in. I said this to you guys that this guy was gonna come in like 70 pounds over Wilder. All right, he got 68 pounds, so I was close. That could be a factor because even though Wilder has the big right hand, Zhang is proving to be durable. Yes, he's been buzzed. He's been hit with some good shots from guys like Hrgovic, Joseph Parker, Joe Joyce. He had struggled against Jerry Flores. All right, almost running out of gas and having a heart attack in there. But the guy has proven to be durable because we haven't seen him down. We haven't seen him almost stopped or anything like that. And even though Wilder is a one-punch knockout guy, he's never fought anyone that had a 70-pound weight difference over him that is durable. Zhang, 70 pounds over. You guys got to understand, when Tyson Fury fought when Tyson Fury fought Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury was always roughly around 40 pounds bigger than Deontay Wilder in all three fights. You guys got to remember, Deontay Wilder was lightest in the first fight, but so was Fury. So when Wilder weighed around what he weighs now, or maybe like 220, Fury was in the 250s. Wilder moved up to like 230, Fury's in the 270s. Wilder comes in around 238, Fury's in the upper 270s. So it's always roughly around 44 pounds. Now, look, I get it, because these are points and arguments that people are making. I get it. Zhang is not Tyson Fury. He's not. He can't move like Fury. He don't have the defense Fury had. But what I will say is this. If you look at the first fight as opposed to the second fight, I noticed one key thing in the second fight that wasn't happening in the first. See, in the first fight, when Fury was his lightest and his game plan was to be slippery and be defensive and make and force Wilder to miss the right hand, he was making Wilder miss. But when he got caught, it was effective. Why? Fury's not as big. Fury is just trying to get out of the way. But when he fought him in a rematch, Wilder landed a few clean right hands as soon as the fight began. Why? Because he was too big. Fury was too big to move. So Wilder would land the right hand and Fury wasn't phased. He was just walking straight forward anyway. He was just walking Wilder down in the rematch. I say that to say this. Zhang, as big as he is, and he's bigger than everybody else that Wilder has faced, isn't going to take just one right hand to put him down, or two or three. How many right hands clean does Wilder need to land to knock this guy out? It wasn't enough for Joseph Parker. It wasn't enough for Fury. He stopped everybody else. Cool. But it's not like he knocked out everyone with just one punch. And I had to think about this and say, okay, Johann Duhaupas, first guy that I remember getting clipped, well, not the first, because Stavern went the distance with him. Stavern took a lot of right hands, went the distance. Duhaupas, he had to get stopped. He couldn't even knock out. Wilder couldn't knock him out. The guy was taking right hands all night. So you guys got to understand there are certain fighters on this list that Wilder couldn't just completely knock out. But now he's fighting someone who I think is better than those guys. And he's more durable than them. And he's bigger than them. On top of that, Zhang got a powerful left hand. Zhang is the biggest puncher that Wilder has faced. Zhang put everybody down. He's fought. He's put them all down. Wilder's 214. You think that Wilder is going to be able to withstand a left hand from Zhang after already being stopped, being less active, and coming off an embarrassing loss against Joseph Parker? I'm not saying it's a bad pick to pick Wilder, but what I'm saying, it's not matching up here. If we're going punch for punch, and I'm talking about the earliest rounds, where this guy is fresh. We know that Zhang is trash after 5 rounds. He's trash. I'm going to say it. He's trash after 5 rounds. He is a 5-round fighter. When the dude is fresh, if Wilder gets hit with one of those shots early, it might be over early. So everybody keeps talking about the right hand. We know what Wilder did against. We know what he can do with the right hand against Dominic Brazil. But is that gonna work against a guy that's 200, that's 70 pounds more than him? 70 pounds? Come on, y'all. I mean, I've already talked about everything else as far as their styles and stuff like that. We know we got a guy with a big right hand versus a guy with a big left hand. This is what we got. We got one that's a little bit more athletic, versus a guy that's a little bit more technical. They're both old. Neither one of them have good gas tanks, but Wilder has the better gas. Wilder's more dangerous in the later half of the fight. He's proven. But durability too. Not only is there a big weight difference, but Wilder is not that durable. He is based on heart. Based on heart, yes. He's going to fight to the end. He's going to fight to the end. Like, I rewatched the Third Fury fight last week. And it was like, yo, the guy was like, no matter how much he got hurt, he kept fighting. He fought to the very end. So, as far as his heart, yo, he's going to fight to the end. But at the end of the day, Parker hurt him. Fury hurt him. Ortiz hurt him. Even Eric Molina hurt him. Duhaup has put a stake on his eye. Like, not all of these guys are good. Some of them are average. So if those guys can hurt Wilder, my point is this. If those guys can hurt Wilder, what do you think Zhang gonna do if he hit him? Zhang has dropped everybody he fought. He dropped everybody. He dropped everybody. I mean, at least everybody that's relevant. Joe Joyce had the best chin in the heavyweight division in 2023. And before that, not until he fought Zhang. This is what I'm trying to say. You think Wilder can... Come on, y'all. Like, listen. Yo, Ralph, I hear you. I hope Wilder wins. I want Wilder to win. I'm rooting for Wilder to win. I'm not trying to... This is not about emotion here. This is about common sense. Wilder is not the favorite for good reasons. I think the advantages going into the fight goes to Zhang. Hands down. Biggest puncher that Wilder's faced. Biggest man that Wilder has faced. Better momentum going into the fight. Like, Wilder, I love the confidence that I'm seeing in him now. I love what he's saying in his interviews. He's seeing focus. I actually love that Wilder wasn't so friendly at the face-off at the press conference the other day. I like that. It was intense. Because, Wilder usually be cool. He's usually like smiling and stuff. Nah, Wilder understands that he has to win this fight. He absolutely has to win this fight. He's already saying that he might retire if he loses. So the pressure is on. I hate that this had to be the fight to decide all that. I think this is probably the worst Not the worst, but it's like one of those situations where it's like you need a fight to win, but they putting you in there with like one of the dangerous guys that's out there. And now, even though that same guy is coming off a loss to the same fighter you just lost to, I don't think the styles match well for Wilder. You know? No, I don't think Wilder is going to engage like him. I think Wilder should try to wait it out and do what he did against Ortiz too. You know, I said that in a breakdown. This fight could go like that. It could go like that, but it really depends. We know that Zhang got slow feet. But Zhang, yo, watch the Ortiz 2 fight because I was just watching it. I watched it earlier in the week. Watch the Ortiz 2 fight and just watch any recent Zhang fight right after. Watch both Ortiz fights, matter of fact. Ortiz don't fight like Zhang. The only similarity there is that they're both southpaws. They don't fight alike. Zhang got slow feet, but Zhang is always coming forward. He's stalking. At times he'll back up. For the most part, he's stalking you. Ortiz was always waiting for counterpunch opportunities. He wasn't always stalking Wilder. He was standing in front of Wilder, but he wasn't coming at Wilder. Zhang is slow on his feet, but he's going to be coming forward. And he's going to be looking for times and periods to cut off Wilder. Even though Wilder is quicker on his feet, he's not the best mover. He doesn't move that well. He moves better than Zhang, but he doesn't move that well. And when he moves, what happens? What happens? When he's moving laterally, when he's constantly moving, what happens? Well, when he throws the right hand, he doesn't have as much leverage. It's not as much power in the shots. That's what happened with Parker. He couldn't really load up like that. So when he fought Ortiz and when he even fought Fury, and Fury's inching closer and closer and closer to him, Wilder's loading up with the right hand every time. But when he was forced to move that much, he really didn't have the impact. He wasn't sitting down on punches like that. You know, he's better with the power when his feet is planted to the ground. And if Zhang is going to be coming forward, which I expect him to, I know we're not expecting Wilder to fight the fight that he fought against Joseph Parker. He's not going to do that. But I don't know. You know, there's a part of me that feel like he might have to engage with him very early because I keep saying we, like I'm part of the team. They don't want to be in a situation where Zhang is controlling the pace of the fight. You know? And if Wilder is not throwing, Zhang will not have to throw as much either. He's gonna have to throw. It's not gonna. It's I don't want to dig too deep into it. It's gonna have to be a fight. It's gonna be a fight. These guys are heavyweights. These guys are not little guys that can use the ring and just avoid the opponent. It's heavyweights, bro. The only fighter that I think that would just move and run the whole entire fight is Huey Fury. If this was one of his fights, I can believe someone can just avoid this guy the whole way, but it's not going to work that way. These guys are heavyweights. They're big guys. These are not featherweights. You know, a featherweight trying to avoid another featherweight. This is two heavyweights that are going to have to clash. They're knockout artists. Again, like Young Hollywood just said, my heart is for Wilder, but because I want Wilder to win, and I think if he were to win, him and Anthony Joshua could fight finally. and we can end all this talk. You know, I mean, it's so much bigger fights out there for Wilder if he is to win than Zhang. But at the end of the day, being the most dangerous puncher Wilder has faced and being 70 pounds bigger than him, I have to go with Zhang. And he's the more durable fighter. You know, he's just a 5-round fighter, and that's his biggest weakness. But outside of that, you know, if you are to do let me say this too. If you do enough damage on Wilder where he's still around after 5 rounds, will it even matter that he has a bad gas tank if Wilder's too damaged to take over the fight when this guy slows down? That's another scenario there. You know? All right, guys. Look, it's getting pretty late. I'm gonna be here tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. So I'll get on live like maybe a half hour before the event start. We got to cover it from the every fight I'm giving commentary for, because there's no all of them are real fights. So every fight will be giving commentary on each fight. So I'll get on a half an hour early. We can talk some other boxing topics. Maybe I'll get it even a lot earlier than that, because there are a lot of topics everyone been asking me to talk and discuss. So I will be ready tomorrow. But all of the fights, there are no preliminaries. They're all legit fights. So the lowest fight on here is the Craig Richards, Willie Hutchinson fight. So I believe that will probably be the opening fight. I don't think that the Bivol fight will be the last fight anymore, because Better BF is not in the fight. So that's probably going to be the middle fight. All right. But I'm expecting this fight to probably go in the order of Hutchinson, Richards, Sheeraz, Ammo, Ball, Ford, Bivol, Hrgovic, Wilder. But I'll be here for the whole thing. So I'll get on a little bit early. We can go through a few boxing topics. My dad's coming down. He'll be here tomorrow. He just hit me up today. So he's probably going to come down and watch some of the fights as well. And yeah, I'll be here. All right. So anyway, please subscribe to the channel. Please hit the thumbs up on your way out. Please like the button on your way out. I will see you guys tomorrow, man. I can't wait. Oh my God. I cannot wait. Oh, I can't wait, man. I can't wait, yo. All right. I can't wait. This is gonna be one of the best cards, man. All right. And we'll see you tomorrow, man. Y'all have a good night's rest. Peace.